Speed, you Black Emperor. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
We turn now to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or is it the Bureau of Instigation? That's the question raised by a new expose in Mother Jones magazine called The Informants. According to the article, the FBI has built a massive network of spies to prevent another domestic terror attack. But it suggests these spies are not only busting terrorist plots, they're actually organizing them, so the FBI can later claim victories in the so-called war on terror. Over the past year, Mother Jones and the Investigative Reporting Program at the University of California-Berkeley examined more than 500 terrorism-related cases. Their probe found that nearly half of the prosecutions involved the use of informants, many of them incentivized by cash rewards of up to $100,000 per assignment. Democracy Now!'s Angelique Ahmed and Big Noise Films' Jackie Suhan reported on this phenomenon last year. They spoke to Imam Saluddin Mohammed of Newburgh, New Jersey, about FBI informants within the Muslim community.
I believe that what we are seeing today with the FBI surveillance and the FBI allowing for agent provocateurs to enter into Muslim communities is the same thing that happened in the 60s with a lot of the black nationalist organizations. That's what I see happening today in the Islamic community. The FBI, they are sending these agent provocateurs into the community, and they are cultivating and nurturing and actually creating situations that would never have occurred if they didn't have their man in there to do that.
Well, the new article on Mother Jones says all except 3 of the high-profile domestic terror plots of the last decade were actually FBI stings. In many cases, key encounters between the informant and the target were not recorded, making it nearly impossible for defendants claiming entrapment to prove their case. We turn now to the reporter who broke this story, Trevor Aaronson. He joins us from the University of California-Berkeley, where he's an investigative reporting fellow. Trevor is also co-founder of the Florida Center for Investigative Reporting, a nonprofit journalism organization. We're also joined by James Weddick in Salt Lake City, Utah. He's a retired FBI agent who worked for the Bureau for 35 years. Weddick also ran an anti-corruption squad in Sacramento. And Qadir Abbas remains with us here in New York City. He's a staff attorney for the Council on American Islamic Relations. We invited the FBI to participate in our conversation, but they declined our request. Welcome all of you to Democracy Now! And could you lay out for us the story that you wrote in Mother Jones magazine, Trevor Aaronson?
Sure. So our story is looking at the effects of a policy known in the FBI as a policy of prevention, which is that following the September 11th attacks and in the years following, the FBI no longer believed that al-Qaeda had the potential of launching a spectacular coordinated attack like we saw in 9/11. The threat then became, in the FBI's view, a lone wolf, someone who was infected or inspired by ideas on radical message boards to go out and commit some kind of act of violence on their own. To prevent such lone wolves, the FBI has recruited a network of informants that today numbers 15,000, and their job is to go out and into the communities and find people who are likely to commit acts of violence, then assign other informants who will go and offer them the means. So, for example, if someone is mouthing off about how they want to, set a bomb off in a shopping mall, an informant will go up to them and say, "Hey, we can provide you with the bomb that you need." What we found in our investigation was that of the 500 terrorism prosecutions since 9/11, half of those involved the use of an informant. In some cases, the informant was used in ways you would suspect. He provided information that allowed the FBI to launch an investigation that came to a prosecution. In other ways, the FBI used informants in far more aggressive roles. They went in and acted as facilitators of the plot. They, in some cases, provided the plan. In other cases, provided the means for them to go in and create or move forward in this terrorist plot that ultimately they are prosecuted for.
What were you most surprised by, Trevor, in this year-long investigation that you did?
Well, part of it was that how much money there is to make in counterterrorism as an informant. One informant, for example, who worked a case outside New York City, the Newburgh case that you played footage of a moment ago, was paid $100,000 in that case. The other surprise was how the profile that we were able to kind of come to of targets in these sting operations. In many cases, these are people who are on the fringes of society. They are economically desperate. They are not the smartest of people. And in many cases, they have very crude and elementary understandings of Islam, all of which the informant is able to use against them in the plot. That is by offering money, for example, or telling the target that the Quran says something that, in fact, it does not.
What about cash incentives?
Cash incentives are a big problem, and this is something that pervades the federal system. Informants who go to trial are often offered what's called a performance incentive, which is that if the prosecution is able to get a conviction, they'll quote-unquote take care of the informant. In most cases, these informants never know exactly how much they'll be paid. They do know, however, that if they're able to successfully bring a sting operation to an indictment and then see that indictment through to a conviction, there's a lot of cash on the line for them. So they have a direct financial incentive in seeing an investigation turn into indictment, and that indictment in turn into a conviction.